Transgender Wizarding Wars Hogwarts Legacy is literally killing trans people by the ArchCast. So, yeah, let's watch it.
Trans activists are threatening to burn down a school full of children because they are not allowed to enter the girls' bathrooms. In other words, it is a day ending in Y. Though, despite the puzzling absurdity of all of this, there is, of course, an internal logic at play here. A reason for why they are doing this. A reason they themselves can accept.
Trans people are more important than your
nostalgia. Which is what we're going to talk about today. But first, a brief
Yeah, it's always so lovely, don't they? Huh?
bit of background to our mystical and magical adventure, as this has to do with that recently announced new wizarding game, Hogwarts Legacy 2. You know, one really would think that the story of a neglected, abused boy finally finding out who he really is and what he belongs
yes, Frost, it
would
is.
speak to a bunch of people who claim to have been born with the incorrect plumbing and really just wants to fit in. Unless, of course, it just happened to be a bunch of actual predators sectioning off their hunting grounds. But oh well, details. To return to the point, I'm sure you all remember Hogwarts Legacy 1. More so for the chaos surrounding it than the game itself in all due likelihood. As it's transmogrified into quite the shitstorm slurry. Partially, of course, this was because of J.K. Rowling, famous first and foremost for running transgender death camps out of her backyard in Scotland, presumably a hobby of hers in between wearing a tiny mustache and practicing marching. Or so at least you would be forgiven for thinking if you've seen any of the cover.
Oxfam targets J.K. Rowling with disgusting cartoon of red eye angry turfs for Pride Month. The Scottish Daily Express
around her for the last 6 to 7 years. But for once, the horrible hag of Hogwarts, the single greatest existential crisis to have ever struck the left.
I never played this game. Is it fun? I don't know. I never played this game. I watched a few people playing a bit.
Was not fully and solely to blame, as the game also drew a lot of hissing and spitting for its lead designer, Troy Levitt, who had once upon a time ran an anti-woke YouTube channel. And I mean, boy, that is pretty gosh darn evil. A moral crime equivalent, or perhaps worse, to abducting children to irreversibly mutilate them. No, wait, no. I'm thinking of the other crowd here. Anyways, much hubbub.
What? Transgender Utah woman and her lover are accused of abducting her and taking the child to Cuba to have sex change surgery. Jesus Christ. Fucking demons.
Much hubbub was had, and the moral
Devil's
majority
creatures.
of anti-bigoted fans, trans activists, anti-fascists, true feminists, progressives, and flag wavers of every kind swore they would destroy this evil wizarding video game via the means of a boycott, the likes of which the magic world has never seen before, at least not since the last 7 attempts to boycott Call of Duty anyways. The game went on to not flop horribly and instead sell a mildly absurd 40 million copies, body slamming the entire prog sphere with the realization that they are not just a minority, but the smallest of all minorities, a loud one. This realization struck as hard and heavy as only a yo mama joke could hit if this was your birthing person.
Oh
now,
my
one might
God.
suspect that if you had just personally been cockslapped by the deity of truth and illumination, you would avoid doing the precise same thing again. However, strategy was never their strong suit, now was it? But insanity aside, what is it that motivates this sort of behavior? It's certainly not any actual belief that this is going to work. The entire left wing's campaigning against Harry Potter has been one perpetual humiliation engine. Seriously, the people championing another boycott of this would be better off live streaming their own anal annihilation by cheese grater than this. Or, well, as the saying goes,
Oh, you need to prepare this stuff in the game. Like, I'm not much a fan of this stuff. It's too much real. I don't care. I don't care about stuff in games, to be honest. I used it to care more back then. Nowadays, I don't care about stuff.
insanity does have a logic all of its own. I suppose they could be deluded enough by their own sense of indoctrinated moral superiority to imagine just about any sort of £250,000 pink gummy bear at this point. And that is sort of kind of precisely what is happening. Because this reaction is not motivated by strategy. Well, once upon a time, the last time around maybe, it probably was, at least in part, as the left was still accustomed to being able to cancel things at will, people or products. This was a flexing of the progressive cancellation muscles, and it came back weak and wanting. A major victory
Thank God
for
they did it,
us in the
Zella.
opposition. But today, at this point in time, it is motivated by a genuinely primal reaction, an emotional one rather than a rational one. Fear. Now, sure,
Fear.
as I all too often say when discussing these topics, this may sound crazy. After all, how is a video game supposedly something to be feared? Indeed, to the point where it is killing people, and I do mean kill, as in they will use that precise verbiage when talking about J.K. Rowling.
In your other media, and yeah, probably by Hogwarts Legacy. However, gives money to J.K. Rowling, who actively funds lobbying against trans people. Oh God, no. J.K. Rowling herself isn't even a great person yet. Like, this is so friendly fire. It feels like, I don't know.
Rowling. And this may be news to you, but J.K. Rowling is not actually driving around the countryside sniping trans people from the top of a double-decker bus. At least I'm reasonably sure we would have heard of it if that was the case. But there is a real and widespread fear on the left that there is a, quote, transgender genocide happening right now. As per usual, this is a linguistic trick using the word genocide with its obvious implications to stoke sympathy from the outsider and fear in those inside the group. And
Of
it
course
has
it
been
is.
quite effective.
They're all
with
used
many
to
of the
that.
left genuinely believing and internalizing this message. So instead of simply going on with the mockery outright, for from mockery, albeit satisfying, we learn little.
Mockery.
Let us investigate it then. The justification for the genocide term comes from Raphael Lemkin's definition of genocide.
Raphael.
He was a, and I quote from Wikipedia, a Polish Jewish lawyer. Yeah, I know. But anyways, he coined the term genocide, and he defined it thus, quote,
Well, I am not surprised.
genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, such as killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, or
No, I think it's just killing a bunch of people.
possibly transferring children of the group to another group. The salient points here are, of course, causing serious bodily or mental harm, along with deliberately
It looks like something else totally
inflicting
different.
on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. The left argues that transgender people are experiencing an epidemic of violence, covering the bodily harm part, and that the government, via legislation, is making it impossible and painful to exist as a trans person in America. Further, that this is a deliberate attempt to destroy trans people in total, covering the mental and group conditions part. And there is certainly a lot
God. Tracking the rise of anti-trans bills in the US. United States has experienced a long rise in anti-trans legislation. Now it's surging. Bathroom, sports, healthcare, education, other. Hover for bills. Totals or see bill count chart below. Oh my god.
legislation going on targeting trans people in particular. But all of this still sounds like a bit of a stretch, especially the bathrooms and sports legislation. How is blocking a man from pissing in the woman's lavatory genocidal? Or stopping a man from beating the living daylights out of a woman in the ring somehow making it impossible for trans people to exist? And is there really legislation out there banning trans people from...
Is this something new or difficult to understand, by the way? They have been calling us like that are brain users. The difference than that, you know? Like, they are calling us brain users, genociders since like always. Always they have calling us for that. So why is that different now, you know? Like, it's like I said, they invent this weird stuff to not demoralize us, but later to criminalize us and to murder us. So they will later be turn all of this a crime. Oh, but you saw the person that was just killed by the government this week? Oh, but why are you worried about that person? That person was a genocide. Was committing genocide, you know? And the person, like, they don't even know what's a genocide anymore. But a person committed a crime of a genocide. So no one will be against the government, right? After all, like, a genocider is a terrible person. Yeah, like, by the context of theirs, you know? And that's how they do things. So yeah, even though they are all stupid and retarded, you should really think about and really pay attention, take care when they label us like these things that are so disgusting and abhorrent like this, because this is what they want for our future. First, they will just like try to socially destroy us with this. They will marginalize it, and finally they will murder you for that, even though that doesn't mean nothing anymore. Because the meaning of a genocide is just to murder a lot of people in mass, like just make mass destruction with humanity. It's literally that. It's not all that bullshit and crap that was written there, but it will become like that because they want to, you know. And then even you can be a genocider all of a sudden, and you deserve to die because of that, you know.
From healthcare? Well, as mentioned previously, the proc is quite fond of linguistic tricks.
They're always accusing us of what they want to do.
So let's sally
always
forth
like that.
into the marshes, shall
Always
we?
have been.
Firstly, healthcare.
They call the right-wing presidents all dictators when they are the only ones dictating things when they reach the power. You know, it's always things like this. It's always the very same thing everywhere. Oh, this is so disgusting. I'm tired of seeing this over and over again. And nothing happens. They have like green cards to do whatever they want. And we just like have to passively watching them achieving all the results, and we can't achieve nothing. This pisses me off so much.
Because this would be by far the most egregious one. If there was a governmental system designed to deny healthcare to trans people, so if one shows up with a bleeding head wound, the doctor would simply go, "Ew, that's a man in a dress, I'm not touching that." I mean, that would indeed be somewhat unreasonable. However, shocking though it may be, that's not quite what we're talking about here. By and large, the healthcare legislation is things like banning gender-affirming care for minors, whether it be ye old snip-snip or drugs. Other things targeted are so-called gender-affirming surgeries, like top surgery to add or remove breasts, and modifications to the lower half, like carving out a gash down there, for example, to simulate a vagina, in the same way that fucking a lawnmower whilst it's running constitutes masturbation. They'll also
Vagina.
install the, to be fair, rather awesomely sounding Neo-penis. And yes, just on the off chance,
I almost spit my tea. What the fuck is said just now? What the fuck is that? Neo-penis? What the fuck
you
is
are a
that?
UA citizen and wondering, do my taxes pay for the Neo-penis? Then yes,
Oh my
yes indeed they do. And this is considered critical
Not a
access
fan
to
of this.
healthcare. As much as I see the appeal of the Neo-penis, I am not at all convinced that
Stop
this does
saying
indeed
that.
equal
Stop saying
critical
that.
healthcare. But this is where the progressive perspective comes back in. In the prog worldview, identity is everything. You are defined by what you are. Being trans is to be the opposite gender, and equally, if not more importantly, to be accepted and seen
This is for you to
as
see how
that
ridiculous
gender,
this
to
is.
be affirmed both legally through things like passports and public registration, etc., and socially by passing as a woman. Since most bearded men will have a hard time with the latter part, gender-affirming
Jesus
care
Christ,
is
man. Oh
therefore
my God.
necessary to be that gender. Remember as well that they believe a priori that men can be women, literally, biologically, women. Therefore, any attempt to refute or block the idea that a man can be a woman and vice versa, like refusing them access to the facilities that they would otherwise, being a woman, be allowed to gain access to, for example, blocking access to sports or bathrooms, this is then systemic discrimination. Because in their eyes, this is just a woman seeking to gain access to the women's bathroom. There is no other differences between a trans woman and a woman than the fact that one is denied
Wow.
access and the other isn't. And furthermore, a woman that is a woman, despite not being a woman, must of course be given the surgery she requires to be a woman. Denying that care is like denying
Talking this
insulin
over
to
time
diabetics.
becomes mind-boggling.
Cruel and deadly.
I'm
Somewhat
feeling like
reaching
I'm losing
conclusion, but
neurons.
that is
It's
the
what I
logic.
it's what I
and if
mean.
we accept the previous propositions, then I
Neo-
can see at least the cruel
Neo-long.
part. But deadly? Not paying for a woman's cock enhancement is deadly? How precisely do we make
enhancement.
that pig fly? It is at this point that we bring up
Cock
Hogwarts
enhancement.
legacy again, and how it is literally killing people. If denying gender-affirming care or access to bathrooms and female sports
Care,
is
quote-unquote
systemic
care.
oppression, then that is the government targeting trans people for being trans. This in turn makes it harder to be trans. Furthermore, since trans people are often viewed as the source of
Therefore, like he said, like, if it's making difficult to be trans, you're already committing a genocide. By their terms, oh my god, that's so marvelous, man.
Found
That's
this
so
review
marvelous.
helpful, which is
many
about
problems
half
today,
as many
What the fuck?
including
people.
parasites on the LGBT
Shut up,
community.
Raph, shut
this
up.
dehumanizes trans people and leads to societal ostracization. The dehumanization will then lead to an acceptance of violence against them and thus genocide. Man, I wish I knew this logic back in the day when they were calling gamers nothing but sex pests and rapists. But oh well, details, I'm not holding a grudge or anything. In other words, all of this makes it really suck to be trans, which is also, by the way, the reason for the downright remarkable Minecrafting rates. Because in a world where you sit at the very top
Remarkable.
of the progressive pyramid, well, that's just not a world worth living in, apparently. Furthermore, this is all a targeted plan with the goal, they argue, to make being trans so impossible or dangerous that the identity of being trans disappears. And since identity is you,
What's
this
that?
erasure
Modern world
equals
with RGB
death.
light system?
Or to summarize as to how this relates to Hogwarts, J.K. Rowling is a TERF, trans-exclusionary feminist. She believes that men are pretending
Is
to be
Rowling
women
or
specifically to infiltrate and steal away female spaces. As a logical extension of this, she rejects the idea that trans women are women. Their very existence is in fact nothing more than a plot to hustle in on her privileges as a woman. J.K. Rowling has furthermore funded significant legal battles against.
Basically, they are deciding for the. In this I noticed that a lot. Okay, they are deciding for the majority of the quote unquote minority. What is better, cater to the trans people that in numbers are way less than number of women? No, let's cater to the woman side and like burn the trans agenda to ashes. Yes, because it's better if we have to choose between one or another when they are fighting together. We go for the bigger one, you know. And that's what they are doing. It's exactly like that.
Trans women and people, like getting the UK courts to rule that a man in a dress is indeed actually a man.
They love to keep these minorities together. When they conflict to one another, they would choose the biggest one. That's it. Simple
Like
as
a
that.
magic spell, unmolesto, and boom, transgender women have been.
And after all, like by logic, they need to defend the woman group because it was the woman group that paved all the path to all of the bullshit that we have in society nowadays. So they need to protect the woman's interests, to keep all of these up together, to keep all of this machinery working, all this brainwash machine working, you know. So yeah, they will throw away all the other minorities if it means saving the woman quote unquote minority that is over half of the population. Yes, they will throw all the others on fire for that if they have to. And this is what they are silently with this. For example, as J.K. Rowling is doing.
Legally, at least, wiped from existence in the merry old nation of Albion. Following the logic we laid out earlier, then, this in turn
It's
means
a good idea
that
for us.
J.K.
It's a
Rowling
good idea.
as good as went house to house, door to door, and personally erased every single trans person in Britain. The right wing, of course, disputes all of this rather stridently, arguing that outside of a microscopic number of people who do genuinely suffer from the mental illness that is gender dysphoria, the
This is how it is. Crazy matter. This how things is. Like for example, they brainwashed women so much in their interests that now, even though the woman's interests are at risk, you will still have a group of women defending the trans people, even though even though it's counterintuitive to them, totally. But they are so into this. They are so brainwashing that they will defend even that extermination if it means to defend these people. This is how stupid they became. This is how much stupid they became. And that's about it.
majority of trans people today are the victims of a social contagion, a fad for attention and popularity, and the statistics appear to bear that out, with some studies like the UK Tavistock Gids referrals showing how the number of trans people per 10,000 was sub 0.1 in 2009, and then in 2021 the number had risen to 8.3. That is an over 80-fold increase and an even higher increase in referrals. Yeah, the chemicals in the water really are turning the frogs trans. All this is a societal thing rather than a physical thing. And if it is, as the data seems to indicate, a societal contagion, then medically treating it with irreversible consequences is just about the worst possible idea we could be having right now. But I'm not really here so much to deliver the counter-arguments as I am here to explain the Hogwarts legacy phenomenon, so let me largely gloss past that. In addition to the previous explanation on why the left believes this is genocide, then, we must also add that the left believes transgenderism is not something you can fix. They do not believe there is a cure for transgenderism, only treatments. Beyond that, still, since gender dysphoria isn't something you get rid of or fight away, repressing it, therefore, only causes further mental stress and struggles down the line, making the person even sicker than before. Combine this with the idea of erasure we went over, the notion that denying that a person is trans is erasing, thus destroying the identity, thus killing them, and we arrive at a position where even suggesting that there is a cure rather than simply treatment, that there is a way to fix a person, to think that they are the right gender after all, well, that is obviously transphobic, and a clear case.
By the way, I've seen many, and not just one, but I think the last one I saw was in Celestial Debates with a trans person. I mean, if I remember, it was a trans person, I'm not sure. But this is the last one that I remember, but I saw more. I saw more people that are trans actually, a few people that are trans actually say that if they had something that they could take in and it cure them from this, they will take it immediately because they don't want to feel like that. They don't want to feel like they are something that they are not. They just feel like that, you know. But if they could like get a pill to just be the gender that they actually were born, like they will take the pill instead of trying to be something that they are not, you know.
Of erasure, in turn, therefore, murder. For the final.
Of course, I'm not saying that this is the same for everyone, but I heard a lot of trans saying this already. It wasn't the first one that I heard.
Point of the explanation then. Notice now how a lot of these posts are either violent, like burning down the school, or rejective, very.
It's a life of suffering for these people. But I still imagine that most of them actually became like that. This is my opinion, okay, guys? I might be wrong. I imagine that a lot of people, a lot of trans actually became like that because they demoralized and diminished men so much. They create such a hassle of being a man and such like they made of the man like such a lowly creature in modern society that people feel ashamed of being men and they want to be something else. This is what I think it happens with. I do think that there are generally people that doesn't feel right in their bodies and everything. I generally believe in people like that, but I think most of them are actually like feeling bad and ashamed of being men because of what society made of men, you know? How society like demoralized men so much. And they feel like they want to be something else, so they don't feel like they are losers or something. This is what I believe that's going on with many of these.
Very rejective. If you play this, I'll never speak to you again. Or absolute in your need, everybody's needs, to reject it. If you play the wizard game, you are denying the value of trans lives. Straight up.
Oh my god, it's always like this, right? It's always like you see, you guys may look at this like as another bullshit of that, and it is. But you have to take this stuff serious, okay? You have to take this stuff serious. You see what they are doing with artists now, you see? Like, contrary to the many people that still think that is right what they are doing with them. Later, you will be a criminal if you play a game like Harry Potter because it goes against trans lives. Don't doubt that. Don't doubt that. And it's these things that I want to defend. And this is why we need to protect against censorship. We need to protect people's freedoms of expression and etc. being taken away. This is why. On the future, we will. You see now this as a joke. On the future, people will be arrested for this. You know? And more on the future, probably we can even start seeing people be murdered because of this. Okay? So yeah, it's laughable and etc. etc. We make fun of, but take this serious.
Their lives, not merely their inconveniences or anything. They
want us dead, all of us.
It seems hysterical.
Our existence is a nuisance to them.
And has, by and large, drawn mockery this time around, as the left does not have the societal power it once did. But if you believe all of the things we have gone over today,
they don't care about our lives, Randall.
The state, special interest groups, the entire internet, games companies, and a billionaire, J.K. Rowling,
they don't care even about mine for not being feminist.
Coming for you, specifically to make your life miserable and to eventually destroy you, to literally kill you and commit genocide against you and your kind. This is a very dangerous and very effective form of indoctrination.
And you know exactly, how these sequels might works, right? I mean, if they are calling you a genocider, they are the ones that will actually commit a genocide, you know? So don't fool yourselves, you know? These people are always projecting. They are always projecting, okay? So, yeah. It's ridiculous and all, and we laugh and all, but take these people more serious. Don't ever take them as a joke, because it's only a matter of time and billionaires' efforts until they actually have power, you know, of arresting people and unaliving people. That's it. Because this is what they want. It's all about power control. It's all about the fucking agenda.
A classic cult tactic, in fact, where you intentionally seek to separate a person from others, from reality, if at all possible, and ensure the only succor and safety they can seek comes from the cult itself. In this case, the ideology of progressivism. Once this sets in, bringing somebody out of the cult and back to reason is extremely difficult, if not damn near impossible, because they have already been told and accepted in this case that you and everybody else out there that is not explicitly on their side and is constantly, vehemently verbal about it, all of the others seek their total annihilation. And everything that happens in the world, even something like a video game or a movie, is reframed as yet another ingredient in a genocide, targeting you in particular. That is how you get to the point where you actually believe that a video game about pretending to be a wizard is out to kill people. It requires a fair bit of mental gymnastics, and perhaps more importantly, it requires a lot of repetition of the indoctrinating ideas, and, as well, as I mentioned, the linguistic tricks. This doesn't work if you're simply telling somebody that a game doesn't represent them, or might in some way mildly inconvenience them. This only functions through fear layered upon fear, causing the target to self-isolate to protect themselves from, again, what they've been told is a literal genocide. Literally killing people. If that's the kind of headspace someone is in, you can see why they might do some really off-the-wall stuff, like freaking out over a wizard game. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then...
Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. I mean, we discussed a lot about this already. This is not the first time. This is not gonna be the last. I think we overly talked about this already. I think I'm losing brain cells. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tailed fox tier member, the Holy Ball, and all of my 3-tailed fox tier members, Wolony Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Hit Himself, Zalost, Eustace the Useful, Zelazazaya, Mr. NR Eden, Max Tenor, Nugutino, Avery, TBCI, and TV8. Thank you very, very much. You guys are amazing. Also, thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Foxlings. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.